Good afternoon and welcome to the Big Show. We call it the Big Show. I am Paul Zeise, of course. It is every day we give you a little daily dose of sports. Right around 5 o'clock, we try and get started right around 5. This week's been a weird week, so it's been more like 5:08. But whatever. We're here now. We can do the things we do when we talk. Clearly, the big news involving the Steelers is the fact that the Steelers will be playing, are you ready for this? In Ireland. As you know, Dan Rooney was obviously the ambassador to Ireland. I'm sure that there's a lot of things that he had done all over the years before he died to set this in motion. And so it's the first ever regular season game in Dublin, Ireland. And it'll be the Steelers. Now they haven't. It's going to be designated. This is a historic game. The Steelers are in it. Nobody really knows who, but there's probably a bunch of different ways that you could eliminate a lot of teams, right? I know there's been a lot of discussion that it could be the Packers, for instance, for a lot of reasons that are really obvious. It wouldn't shock me if maybe it's the Patriots. And, of course, I don't know who the Steelers are supposed to play, so I guess that would be a good way to look up. First thing to do is look up who they're supposed to play in 2025 and figure it out. So in 2025, it's going to be the Ravens. I think we can, by process of elimination, get rid of 6 games immediately. It's not going to be any of the games in the AFC North. Okay? I don't think the Colts would make a whole lot of sense. The Vikings probably wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. The Seahawks wouldn't make a lot of sense, and nor would the Dolphins. So really, if you think about it, if it's going to be the Packers, that could make a little bit of sense. I'll be honest with you, the Bears might make a little bit of sense. And the Patriots, they do play the Patriots. These are the teams that would make sense. Now, I think one of the things about it is if you look at the way that the Steelers are scheduled, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here's the other thing. It's probably going to be one of the teams that's supposed to be at home. And so I think the thing about it is the home games, you can eliminate the Ravens and Bengals and Browns. They're not going to play a divisional game over there. So it really probably is going to be the Packers or the Bills. I mean, I don't know. Either way, there's a lot of people that have mixed feelings about it. Listen, I don't care really that way. I think if you've got 17 games, it means you can still have 8 home and 8 away games. It doesn't mean necessarily that you're taking away a home game from somebody. I'm sure they're compensated. I know that there's a number of international games this year, so a lot of teams have to play over there. Obviously, in England, Jacksonville usually plays twice there. There's a lot of sentiment that seems to be that the owner would love to because he owns Liverpool or whatever. The Jacksonville's owner also owns a soccer team over there. There's some discussion that they would like to get to a point where they play half their home games over there, or maybe even move Jacksonville over there. I don't know if that's the case. I think the thing about the Steelers, they're obviously a draw. Obviously, the tie with Dan Rooney. If the NFL is looking to get into they're looking to get into that market, to me, the Steelers are a natural team to take that up. Why not? They want to go to Dublin, Ireland. They want to play a game there. To be honest, would it really be that big of a deal if the Steelers played? If the Steelers played there every 4 years or something, that would be very interesting, right? That would be very interesting. It's something to think about. And again, when you think about the Rooney legacy and you think about Dan Rooney, Ireland's a very big part of that. So I feel like, there are people that are upset about the Steelers. They're having to go and, boo-hoo. It might be, if it's the Packers or somebody like that, it's somebody who was supposed to come to Pittsburgh, but they're going to Ireland instead. you're still going to get 8. You're still going to get 8 home games. Period. And I think that really the reality of that is it's not that big of a deal. You know, I'll be honest with you, I hate the international games from this standpoint. I mean, I just don't like the fact that the international games, generally take place at 9 in the morning. It's a different kind of crowd, and then it's just not the same. But some people like it, and that's good. And I think that, you know what, John here says he thinks this is the wave of what's going to happen where, pretty much every team is going to have to play overseas at least once a year, and they're going to have a, steady. I could see that because, again, the NFL, it's all about growing, expanding, getting better, getting bigger, making more money. Period. That's what I would tell you. So I think that really, people get crazy about these kinds of things, and they don't necessarily like the international games because they think it takes away from home games and takes away from the fact that there is going to be that there's going to be a game at 9 in the morning and all that good stuff. And of course, bar owners around here probably don't like it. But here's the thing. I think that, because again, when the Steelers play and they're on the road, bars in Pittsburgh do really well. People want to get out a little bit, have a few pops, watch the games. At 9 a.m., I think you're probably thinking the wrong way. If I was a bar owner, I'd open up at 8:30 on the day that the Steelers play in Ireland. I know Archie will, speaking of bar owners. I know Archie will. Archie's on Carson Street. I guarantee you he'll open up early, and he usually does sometimes. He does sometimes for even just the normal international games. But to me, now that it's been announced and we know when it is, I think that it's going to be fine, and people are going to find out that if you had a problem with it, there's no reason to continue to have a problem with it, to be honest. It's just one of those things. So anyway, I digress. Sunday is the Super Bowl. It is the Super Bowl, and of course, the Chiefs are looking to make history. No team in the Super Bowl era has won 3 consecutive Super Bowl titles. There have been teams that have come close, but nobody has won 3 in a row. The Chiefs not only are going for 3 in a row, though, they are going for 4 in 6 years. And so 4 in 6 years puts them probably in a place where I would tell you, makes them the greatest dynasty of all time. I know that nobody wants to hear that. I know nobody wants, especially in this town. Well, the Steelers won 4 in 6 years. Why are the Steelers not? Here's the difference. 4 in 6 years for the Chiefs also includes a Super Bowl loss and a loss in the conference championship game. The Steelers lost in the conference championship game, but they also lost in the first round of the playoffs in the 2 years in between their 4 and 6 years. I mean, the Chiefs were literally, right on the cusp of, they're not that far away from saying they could have won 6. But I think what makes and people bring up the Patriots are actually 2 different dynasties. That's the thing that I don't think people realize. The Patriots are actually 2 separate, distinct, different dynasties. The first of the Patriots dynasty was from, like, say, in 2000, what was it? Let's see here, where are we at? 2002, where they won that Super Bowl. Then they won in 2004 and 2005. They won again. You want to bring in 2008? Okay, and they lost it. So they were in 4 Super Bowls in 5 years or 6 years? had they won that one, we would be talking about them. But they didn't. They lost it. Then a few years later, in 2012, they got to the Super Bowl and lost. But then they won in 15, in 17. They lost again in 18 and won in 19. So reality is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 8 years. They could have had 5 in 8 years. So that to me is you look at it, and I'm looking at it, and there's two different ways that you can look at it. You can say, well, if you put the Chiefs on the field, I've heard people, if you put the Chiefs on the field with some of those 49er teams, they'd get killed. Put the Chiefs on the field with the steel curtain, they'd get killed. Nobody's talking about that. It's about dominating your era. And the thing that makes the Chiefs different, and I'm going to tell you, it's something that is really, really making them different than the Steelers, than the Patriots, than even the Cowboys that won 3 and 4 years in the 90s. The 49ers had 5 or 6 years of, they won, I think they won 5 or 6 in like about a 14-year span or something like that. You know what makes the Chiefs different? What makes the Chiefs different is that you've got Patrick Mahomes, maybe Chris Jones, and Travis Kelce. 3 Hall of Famers. That's pretty much who you have. And so, when you look at the Steelers dynasty, obviously the Steelers were better from the standpoint of they had, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever it is, Hall of Famers from those teams? From the Super Steelers of the Super Steelers of the 70s when they won 4 and 6 years? I mean, the number of Hall of Famers that they had from that era, right? It's I think the number's 4? I think it's 9 or 10. And so when you think about it, sure, that those teams were better than this Chiefs team. I don't think anyone's arguing that. I mean, this Chiefs team, I don't know that it's an all-time great team. But in terms of dominating right now, they're as good as it gets. They're as good as it gets. And so they are basically better than, other dynasties in terms of dominating, and especially when you consider the fact that they've done it really with, with a quarterback and a reasonably good tight end and a lot of good pieces around them. The other part of it is they're not probably done. Like, what if they were to win 2 or 3 more Super Bowls? Now, of course, they've got to win this one. If they don't win this one, then what are we talking about? I understand that. But my point is, if they do win this one, then we start to talk about them being the greatest dynasty of all time. So I'm looking right now, just off real quick, I'm looking at this list. You got Blunt, Bradshaw, obviously, Joe Green, obviously, Ham, Harris, that's 5, Lambert 6, Chuck Noll. I mean, Andy Reid's going to be, so let's not count him. Donnie Shell 7, Stallworth 8, Lynn Swan 9, Webster 10. 10 Hall of Famers. They're not going to be that many. They're not going to be that many Hall of Famers from this Chiefs team. Very, very few, actually, I think. And so I think it's one of those situations where the NFL is different today than it was back then, with free agency, with the way the games are changed, the way that things have gone. But what's amazing about the Chiefs in so many ways is it's 100% about the quarterback. I mean, the coach is obviously very good. That's a part of it too. But the quarterback. I mean, you want to talk about GOAT status or whatever. If Patrick Mahomes wins this one, I know it's only 4, and you could say Brady has 7, but Mahomes to me is going to get 2 or 3 more. unless he gets hurt, he's going to get 2 or 3 more. And I'm looking at what he's done and how he's done it, and it's pretty incredible. I mean, he's still relatively young. He's still in his prime. He's still going to have a chance, every single year to get there, especially as long as Andy Reid is his coach. People don't want to hear it about the Steelers, though, ever. They don't. They want to, anytime there's a dynasty that threatens the Steelers, they want to make it basically try and shout it down. No. There's no way. Shout it down. There's nobody that is as good as our Steelers. Well, you know what? I disagree. I think this Chiefs team, is on the verge. If they win 3 in a row in 4 and 6 years, they are on the verge of becoming the greatest dynasty that we've ever seen. And that's mostly because of the way that they have gone about their business. And the fact that really, if you think about it, the 2 years in between when they've won them, they lost the Super Bowl and lost in the conference championship game. Think about that. Think about that. They lost the Super Bowl and they lost a conference championship game. So I think, the other part of that you got to remember is it's always important to note those things. What did the dynasty team do in between winning 2 Super Bowls? Winning 4 Super Bowls. What did they do? It's important to note, what did they do? Because I think what happens is, those 2 years when the Steelers didn't win, guess what? It didn't go so well for them. It just didn't. Just didn't go so well for them. Now, 1 year was because of injuries, but I think that it's, always important to note that, it's really, really, really hard to go 5, 6, 7 years in a row and really legitimately have a chance to continue to win. It just doesn't happen like that very much. And I think that's where, the difference for me is, at least. I think the difference for me is very, very simple. What they did in between. And especially since they're going to be able to do it. They're going to be able to do it probably a couple more times. Now, obviously, here's the other rub that I'd say. Here's the other part of it that probably we don't necessarily take into account. Things can happen. We thought that the Patriots were on their way to winning how many in a row? And then what happened? The Patriots ended up falling back. They lost a few. They lost a couple of Super Bowls. They lost a couple of players, right? And the next thing you know, it is just not necessarily ever recaptured. And then all of a sudden, they get the right mix of players again, and they're back. And they're captured again. So I'm just going to tell you, I think that when we talk about all of these situations with respect to, the dynasties, it's hard to be a dynasty. It's hard to win consistently. It's hard. It's hard to continue to, go year after year after year after year after year. It's hard to do that. And you get to a point where, you have a couple of bad injuries and things go wrong for you. Guess what? It all falls apart for you. And so that is, I would tell you is probably the most important thing to remember when we talk about this. Winning 4 and 6 years is really, really, really difficult. Winning 2 is difficult. Winning 3, winning 2 or winning 3 or whatever, you have to be a little bit lucky. You have to be able to, make sure that you are able to, keep your quarterback healthy and keep some other people healthy. There's a lot of different things that happen really. And that is obviously the one that I would tell you. Your quarterback gets hurt, you lose a few guys. It's really, really difficult. So, when you watch the Chiefs this week, I know that many Steeler fans probably are going to be in a place where they want the Chiefs to lose. I'd tell you that is probably very short-sighted. I'd tell you that's probably very, very short-sighted, because I think that you don't get a chance to see teams like this very often. And even though, they're trying to do something that, the Steelers were the only team that's ever done, I'll tell you this. I think that if they lose, they could fall apart and everything else very quickly and never, ever, ever get to 5 or 6 or 7 Super Bowls like some people predict they will. It's just not going to happen. That's where I would tell you is the difference in many, many ways. And so this is going to be a fun Super Bowl, I think. I really enjoy watching the Super Bowl just because, all the pageantry and everything that goes around it. But this is a game that I really, really think this is a game that is going to be very entertaining. And one of the things about the matchup that I look at is that I think that if you go through it and you take a look at the matchup, the Eagles are a team that they do a lot of big, big, big play stuff from their running game, which is what makes them different. Their running game is different because their running game is how they get big chunk plays. And because of the way they do it, they can match teams who are going to basically be out there, throwing the ball over the field. Now, the thing about the Chiefs are they're different than they've been because the Chiefs aren't a chunk play team anymore. They're not a team that relies on big plays anymore. They're not a team that is going to, go up and down the field with, 1, 2, 3 play drives. What they have is a quarterback and a coach smarter than everybody else. And because he's smarter than everybody else, they're able to go 13, 14 play drives because it seems like every single play, he sees what the defense is doing and he knows exactly what to do with the ball. That's what I like about it. That's what I like about it. That's what I love about the Chiefs. They can make big plays. I'm not saying that, but that's not their bread and butter. This isn't the high-flying greatest show on turf or whatever that it was, a couple of years ago with the Chiefs. They're a team that basically wants to go and throw the ball, methodically and move down the field and run the ball and, play with a controlled sort of aggression that can make the other team really get impatient. And so that's really, to me, what I would tell you is what I like about this game is because it's not the Chiefs really that are the big play team. But by the same token, it's not the Chiefs that are the big play team. But it is the Chiefs that can make big plays. And also, it's the Chiefs that can hold the ball forever if they want to. You'd think it'd be the Eagles because they're a running team. The Eagles' running game is definitely they can control the clock. But what I love about the Eagles' running game is that they basically also use it for big plays. And so, when you look at the big plays that could be made by the running game, it's a different matchup because it's not what you usually expect. It's not what you usually expect from a game when you think about it. It's just not. So anyway, I looked at a couple of prop bets just for the heck of it. These are ones that some people like. The national anthem length over 120.5. That means 2 minutes, over 2 minutes, or under 2 minutes. Let's hope it's under. One of the worst things that happens is when the the national anthem is sung and takes forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. We get it. You want to show us your vocal, your vocal strength? We get it. By the same token, we don't need it anymore. So anyway, it's one of those things where I just kind of like am always in awe when these people are able to do it in less than 2 minutes. So let's hope that's an under. Coin toss result is stupid. You might as well just go down to the casino and bet on red or black, right? Or, because that's really, what we're talking about. The same thing, right? Red or black. Game winner, Eagles or Chiefs. So basically you're betting on the money line. I'm going to give you my prediction right now with this one. I think the Eagles are better. I think the Eagles are better. I do. But I think the Chiefs are better at quarterback and coach. And guess what? Because they're better at quarterback and coach, I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win the game. I think the Eagles are better. If it was all things being equal, I would pick the Eagles to win this game. But again, it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in a playoff game. The two have proven that they're better than everybody else at winning playoff games. You look at Patrick Mahomes, what he's done. I ask people that tell me, I've talked to people all week who say they want to bet on the Eagles or they think the Eagles are going to win. And I say, listen, the Eagles are better. I agree with you. But are you really going to bet? Are you really going to bet against Patrick Mahomes? The Bills, I thought, were better than the Chiefs. Are you really going to bet against Patrick Mahomes? So it all comes down, in my mind, to this. I look at the Eagles. The roster is better. I think they're better in just about every single area. I think if they play mistake-free, if they're able to play their kind of game and they do the things they do well, yeah, absolutely I could win. Actually, and maybe they should win. But then I go into the terminal. I'm getting ready to place my bet at the casino. I hit the button. I hit this button. And I say to myself before I hit send, I say, am I really going to sit here and bet against Patrick Mahomes? And quite frankly, it's been a system that's worked well for me the last couple of years. Because honestly, I thought the Ravens were better last year, and I thought the Bills were better last year, and the Chiefs beat them both on the road. And so, it's a situation. And then, I thought the 49ers were better than them, and the Chiefs beat them. So my thing is, I legitimately think the Eagles are better than the Chiefs right now. But I'm not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going to give you a score of something like this. I think it's going to be a little lower scoring than some people, but I think it's going to be like 23-17, something like that. Chiefs win by maybe a touchdown, 24-17, something like that. That's what I'm predicting. I predict the Chiefs are going to win by about 5 to 7 points. So you say, well, what are you talking about? I mean, you just said the Eagles are better. I'm not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, period. A couple other ones real quick before we get out of here. Will there be a score in the first 6 minutes and 59 seconds? Yeah, why not? Team to score first, I'll say Eagles. Jersey number of the first touchdown score, odd or even. Okay, well, I guess if you look at it through that way, the way you do that prop, you say, okay, I just said I think the Eagles are going to score first. Saquon Barkley wears number 26. That's an even number, so I'll bet even. Will there be a score in the last 2 minutes of the first half? I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so. Passing yards, Jalen Hurts over 210. I don't think there's any chance he gets over 210. Not because I don't think they're going to have, good offense. I just don't think they're going to have that many opportunities. Passing yards, Mahomes over 250 against that Eagles defense. Yeah, I think so. Maybe. I think so. Receiving yards, Kelce, I think under 61 and a half. I just do. I think the Eagles will take him away and make the other guys beat him. So that's really, my thoughts on the Super Bowl. I think, honestly, the Chiefs are going to win. I don't bet against Patrick Mahomes ever, and for a lot of reasons. And this ain't going to be the time I stop. By the way, the game is always on at Archie's. Get down to Archie's on Carson Street. Archie's, home of 80-cent wings, Monday through Thursday, home of the Paul Zeise grilled cheese sandwich. When you get down to Archie, tell them I sent you. Tell them I said hello. And again, we'll do this again on Monday. Probably do it from down at Archie's. So if you're around on Monday afternoon, stop in and say hello. Have a few wings, maybe a pop, and we'll have a good time. Until then, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Hopefully it's an entertaining game. Hopefully all the events around the game are entertaining, and hopefully you all stay safe.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.